Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, December 27th, 2018. I'm Keith Tebow. I hope you had a very Merry Christmas with your family and friends as the holiday week continues. As we've done in the last 2 years, we're going to spend this final show of 2018 looking back at the items that made news in Fall River this year. And it's quite a list, so let's get started. Back in 2017, we heard rumors during the Fall River city election that Mayor Jaziel Correa was being investigated by the FBI. The mayor himself alluded to that being the case. Well, on October 11th, those rumors were confirmed as Mayor Correa was arrested and charged with 13 federal counts of wire fraud and filing false tax returns.
Earlier this morning, Fall River Mayor Jaziel Correa was arrested and charged with 9 counts of wire fraud and 4 counts of tax fraud, all arising from an alleged multi-year investment scam. Beginning in January 2013 and continuing over the course of 4 years, Correa allegedly convinced 7 people to invest over $363,000 in Snow Owl, a company designing an app to connect local businesses and individuals with a target consumer market. Correa, however, diverted more than $231,000 of that money, about 64%, to fund his political career and extravagant lifestyle and the needs of his other business ventures. This was not about poor accounting or honest mistakes. According to the indictment, Correa used investor money to fund personal travel and entertainment, spending thousands of dollars on airfare, luxury hotels, restaurants, casinos, dating services, and adult entertainment. Correa also allegedly bought tens of thousands of dollars of luxury items, including a 2011 Mercedes sedan, jewelry, and designer clothing. It appears he also used $10,000 of investor funds to fund his political campaigns and to pay down student loans. Correa did all this mostly by using a company debit card and a personal credit card. Meanwhile, according to the indictment, Correa deceived his investors in Snow Owl on an ongoing basis. He reassured them with fake updates as to Snow Owl's progress and finances, but refused to show anyone financial records like bank statements that would have revealed his expenditures. At the same time, Correa did little to keep Snow Owl a viable business, and as Snow Owl floundered, Correa announced his candidacy as mayor of Fall River. During the election, he even touted his stewardship of Snow Owl as one of his primary qualifications to be the mayor of that town. According to the indictment, in spring 2017, while Correa was mayor of Fall River, he learned that Snow Owl was the subject of a federal criminal investigation and took steps to hide the scheme. He instructed his accountant to file amended personal tax returns in an effort to account for the diverted investor funds that he had previously failed to report as income. In short, based on the indictment, despite the trappings of a company and whatever technical progress was made on the app product that Snow Owl intended to sell, the company was first and foremost a clever way to defraud well-intentioned investors and fund Correa's lifestyle. To date, no investor has received any return from their investment in Snow Owl.
Following his not guilty plea on all counts, Mayor Correa told reporters in Boston that he did nothing wrong and did not plan to resign. 5 days later, the mayor called a news conference at Government Center to steadfastly defend himself and assure supporters he would continue to serve.
I want to start off by saying, before I get into some comments, that, of course, last Thursday was the worst day of my life, certainly. It was not a proud moment, and a lot of people saw me come out of the federal courthouse in Boston with a smile on my face. And I'm here to tell you that that wasn't meant to be perceived as arrogance or pride or excitement, certainly, but I was nervous. It was a long day, and I was nervous, and I didn't know how to react. I, of course, had not been in that situation. And I was intimidated. A lot of cameras are here today, but there was a lot of cameras that day. And it was a long, long day. And I had my family, and I had so many people that were contacting me with such great messages, and they've continued all the way till this morning. And I just want to thank them so much, and I love my family who's here today, standing by me and has been here every single day of my entire life. These allegations made against me that have nothing to do with my job as the mayor of the city of Fall River, and that stem all the way back to when I was 20 years old, are 100% false, and that I am innocent of every single one of these allegations. Why we ended at this stage of this 18-month investigation with all kinds of other craziness, that I know the reason too, because it was politically motivated. We had the son of an investor wanting a job in City Hall. I pointed in him other directions, but that investor was suddenly disgruntled. We had former district attorneys upset that a 23-year-old beat them. We had my most recent opponent place their entire campaign on the fact that I would be indicted. This, from day one, began as a political attack on somebody that was challenging the norms here in Fall River. I have other duties. Duties that I was elected to perform. Duties that I was reelected to still perform. And I have an incredible foundation of people. An incredible foundation of people. Not arrogantly, not selfishly, but humbly. I will continue to every day show you how hardworking your mayor, the mayor of the city of Fall River, is. And I will not resign.
Since the day he was indicted, there was a call from residents for the mayor to resign. Some looked for the city council to take action, citing language in the new city charter as a reason by which the mayor could be removed from office. Over the course of 3 meetings, the city council debated their role in removing the mayor. Councilor Stephen Camara made it clear that, in his opinion, the council had no standing in forcing the mayor to step down.
It's not my responsibility. It is not this council's responsibility to take action to remove a mayor from office, either temporarily or permanently. There are 3 ways that a mayor can be removed from office. One is that the mayor can resign, and that's his choice. The second is that the mayor can be recalled, and that's the people's choice, because they are his boss. We're not his boss. The people elected him, the people elected us, the people are our boss. So the people can remove him from office through the recall process. Or third, he could be convicted of a felony, in which case then he would automatically be removed from office.
Ultimately, the council did not approve motions to relieve the mayor of his duties, but on an 8-1 vote, with Councilor Stephen Camara voting no, the council did issue a vote of no confidence in Mayor Correa. Soon after the mayor was indicted, a group of citizens organized to launch an initiative to force a special election to recall Mayor Correa. The group collected nearly 6,000 signatures, with only 2,500 or so needed to initiate the recall.
We are picking up our recall petitions. We submitted an affidavit asking for the recall, demanding the recall, as the wording says. That was certified today by elections, and now we have the petitions and can start our work. I know you're questioning what I mean certified. 10 registered voters have to sign on that affidavit. That affidavit then has to be checked by the city clerk, turned over to elections to make sure that the 10 names actually are registered voters with correct addresses, et cetera. And that was done this morning. It took a couple hours to get the petitions prepared because they have to be worded exactly as our affidavit was. And we have 190 copies, I believe, here, which is probably 3 times more than we need to get the numbers of votes, the numbers of signatures that we need.
How successful do you think you will be in terms of support?
100% successful. I have no fear whatsoever. Look, this entire thing became an insult to the city. This became a big slap in Fall River's face. There are a lot of people, hardworking people in this city, who are angry right now. They're hurt right now. And if they stop and think how much this hurts our ability to do business as a city, with businesses as well as with Boston, our politicians in Boston, it's crippling. It is absolutely crippling. If I wanted to put a business in at the industrial park and I knew I had to go to the 6th floor and sit across the table from this gentleman, I'd be talking to New Bedford right now.
Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty?
I thoroughly believe in that. If you run a business, let's say you run a realty office, and suddenly there's federal indictment sitting on your desk, do you expect your business to thrive? Do you expect anyone to list houses with you? Do you expect anyone to buy a house through you? No, because they will be skeptical. They will look at your credibility. They will have to stop and think, gee, I don't think I really want to do business here right now. Go prove yourself innocent. Mayor Correa has said time and time again, I'm innocent, I'm innocent, I'm innocent. Step down, go fight your fight. If you're innocent on all these counts, come back and say, I told you so, now elect me mayor again. But in the meantime, let the business of the city go on, unimpaired. And that's the problem here right now. Our ability to do business is crippled by the fact that we have a mayor who lacks credibility.
You said you did talk to the mayor?
I did speak with the mayor on Tuesday outside of the city council meeting, and he wanted to tell me that he supported this recall and that he would be willing to sign the petition himself. And I will bring it to him. I can't right now because we have polling downstairs, and you can't pass around a petition within 150 feet of a pole.
He actually said he would sign it?
He did indeed. I have a witness to that. He said it right there outside of city council chambers.
Did that surprise you?
I would think most people would be surprised by that. When he told me he would be willing to sign his own petition to be recalled from office, I explained to him that I thought that was perfectly reasonable because he himself signs a recall petition for the last mayor that was recalled.
And you are speaking about Mayor Jesus Correa.
Correct. And he signs the recall papers for Will Flanagan. So if he believes in our democratic process enough to sign his own recall papers, I'll take him up on that.
2 weeks ago, the elections office certified over 4,000 signatures, moving the recall process forward. Even though the mayor has filed an objection to the recall petition, which needs to be played out in whichever venue the mayor wishes to pursue, it's possible a recall election will be held early next year. On January 2nd, Mayor Correa and newly elected members of the City Council and School Committee took office. On the City Council side, there was one new face to the body, Derek Viveros, and two former councilors back in the chamber with the election of Brad Kilby and Leo Pelletier. Councilor Cliff Ponte was elected as council president, with Pam LaLiberty LeBeau elected as vice president. On the school committee, there were three faces on the panel not there from a year before. Newcomers Joshua Hetzler and Tom Corey, and the return of former school committeeman and state representative Kevin Aguiar. Through the first 2 months of 2018, a different campaign was being debated in the city, whether or not Fall River should override Proposition 2.5 to build a new BMC Durfee High School. A referendum for city residents to vote was set for early March. At a forum held at our FRCMedia studios, school committeeman Paul Coogan and referendum opponent Robert Camara debated the merits of that override.
First and foremost, this is a vote on how we fund the building of a school. It is not a referendum on education. We are in total agreement that we need a new Durfee. How we pay for it is the issue. And in spite of the assertions by the proponents of a debt exclusion, opposition to that funding is not somehow a vote against education. It is a stand against more taxes. The misinformation campaign for debt exclusion option is both well-funded and relentless. Statements that are presented as facts, such as if we reject the debt exclusion, we will lose MSB funding, are false. The actual fact is the MSBA does not require a debt exclusion. It requires only the full funding of the project. And I quote, "A city, town, or regional school district must vote to appropriate and authorize the full amount of a project's cost, including both the local share and the MSBA share, if any. The total project budget amount must be authorized and approved," unquote. We can, in fact, receive funding as long as we fund the full amount of the project, regardless of the manner used to fund it.
In 2012, we had the Mount Vernon Group come out and do a complete estimate of renovations. $112 million later, that was our answer. The MSBA came down, walked the building with the estimate, and told us no money for renovations would ever be given to our project. We'll talk about that a little further later, I'm sure, too. Cost. The simple way to think about the cost is we are getting a $263 million high school for $98.5 million. Stay there for one moment. $98.5 million, we get a fully furnished, all-new, $263 million Durfee. At least 120 other cities and towns in Massachusetts asked for all or a part of our $165 million. And the city of Fall River is the ones that won the money. The tax increase on a $212,000 home is about $9.58. If you want to have your children in a modern, secure learning center.
At the ballot box, voters decisively voted in favor of the override. Plans to construct the new school advanced during the year, with groundbreaking taking place on November 15th.
Today's a great day in this amazing city. Today we honor and recognize the hard work of really generation of people who put together the goodwill and effort to be able to afford the current students and the future generations of this amazing city an opportunity to attend a truly amazing 21st century high school.
We went to the voters. We asked the voters to approve and to affirm this action of building this new school. We asked the voters for approximately $98 million on their tax bill separately to pay for this school. And when you're in that process, when you're asking the voters to do something like that, to pay an additional tax for something that they may not even utilize, that's a pretty big ask. And we went to the voters, and I am happy to report, and everybody knows that, that's why we're standing here today. The voters overwhelmingly supported the construction of a new Durfee High School. So those watching at home, the citizens of Fall River, the voters of Fall River, everyone here really thanks you for making this a reality.
As a proud Hilltopper, I am genuinely excited to see this come alive. And I want to just say that this community deserves a new school, and to see that this dream is coming true and becoming a reality, even in my senior years, it's just a great accomplishment for me. And being a student representative and an advocate for the students who are seeing this new school come alive is generally such heartwarming to me, because even through my 4 years here, it's been such a great experience. And to see that the new generation of students are coming in and learning in a new and improved environment is so heartwarming.
In other education news, the Diamond Regional Vocational High School School Committee earlier this month decided not to renew the contract of Superintendent Director Tom Aubin. Since then, there have been public displays of displeasure with the committee's decision, and a few residents have filed an open meeting law complaint against the committee over the handling of that decision. If you're just joining us this week, we're taking a look back at some of the news items that shaped 2018 here in Fall River. This year, we saw a continued push by the Diocese of Fall River to reorganize its parishes to fit the needs of declining congregations. At one time, two of the largest parishes in Fall River were at Notre Dame, since renamed St. Bernadette's, and St. Anne's. Today, both parishes are closed, with Bishop Edgar de Cunha deciding that there were insufficient funds to keep up the day-to-day operations of the churches and also raise money for necessary repairs. St. Bernadette faced a $3 million deficit, while St. Anne's was in need of over $13 million in revenue to restore the 100-year-old church. Parishioners at St. Anne's are still looking to work with the diocese to save the church and shrine.
Our role on the committee was to raise money, to see how we could raise money, how we could sustain the parish. And we were told we had 3 months and we had to give names of people that we thought could donate it. I told the consultant that there's no way we can do this in 3 months. And after 2 months, we gave them some names. And after 2 months, they called us in and they said, this isn't going to work. And we want you to sign this thing saying that that we did everything we could, and I refused to sign it because I asked them for a year. I said we need at least a year to put together something where we can come up with this. So as far as I'm concerned, the decision was already made, and the consultant was there to make it look like we wanted the church closed and that we did everything we can, and that's absolutely not true.
From thence he shall come to judge the living and the dead. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Catholic Church.
All right, Richard, can you just tell me why you organized it?
Yes, because I want to keep the church and the shrine open to the public of Fall River. This is a landmark, this is a historic building for the Catholic community, and it deserves the recognition that it deserves.
Now, the church is saying there's not enough parishioners. What's your feeling about that?
I understand there's not enough parishioners, but the shrine itself is a sacred place, and the shrine should remain open. Now, if we don't have enough people to attend the Mass and the church closes, that's very understandable. The funds are not there. But as far as the building and the shrine, I think the shrine should remain open for generations to come.
Do you think that the church has done all it can?
No, not at all. I think they've neglected it. I think they've waited too long, and I think now it's just easier to kick the church down the road.
Do you think that they have worked hard to get more parishioners to come?
No, they haven't. I think they've left that up to the parishioners themselves to get more people to come.
Following St. Anne's final Mass in November, Bishop d'Acunha assured parishioners that their faith in the church will go on regardless of its physical location.
In the midst of a sense of loss, the best thing you can experience is support from each other. And I think that's what happened here today. I heard from people who are saying, we're going to move on, our faith continues, our love for the church continues, and that kind of hope and commitment is very encouraging. There is nothing I can say that is going to remove those anxieties, but just by being there with them, just by being myself, letting them know that I share their pain, that's all I can do, and that's what I wanted to do. It's going to take a while, it's going to take work, it's going to take, they need time to heal the wounds, and but we have the other priests here, and we have the diocese working with them and the other priests. So my hope is that all the people who are connected with St. Anne's will find connection with another church and continue celebrating their faith.
Trash pickup in Fall River once again became a focal issue in 2018. During the 2017 campaign, Mayor Correa promised to eliminate the pay-as-you-throw purple bag program. The item was put before the City Council during its FY 2019 budget deliberations in June, but the Council voted not to rescind the program. Mayor Correa has since refiled the proposal to scrap the pay-as-you-throw ordinance with the Council. That matter remains unresolved. The long-standing relationship between the City of Fall River and the Bristol County Economic Development Consultants, formerly the Fall River Office of Economic Development, ended this fall as the Fall River Redevelopment Authority decided to terminate its contract with the BCECD and its executive, Ken Fiola. Just last week, Mr. Fiola and two other residents filed a civil suit against the Redevelopment Authority, citing an open meeting law violation in connection with its vote. In 2018, the city has held 3 different screenings to hire an executive director to drive economic development on behalf of the city, but to date, no one has been hired. Still lingering is a lawsuit filed by the city in 2017 against the BCEDC for what it says is over $100,000 owed the city in overdue rent from when the organization was leasing space in Government Center. There will be plenty of visual changes in Fall River's neighborhoods in 2018. After a false start in 2017, the King Philip Mill complex in the city's south end was finally sold. Developer Robert Kafori won a bid to purchase the property in January for $195,000 and began the demolition at the site with plans to build 26 single-family homes and create recreational space along Cook Pond. Mayor Correa's streetscape program advanced in 2018 with renovations to the areas of Purchase Street and East Main Street in its final stages. Griffin Park had a major overhaul this year, and there's now a new Patriots-themed playground at Maplewood Park. And South Coast Marketplace in the south end of the city showed its growth with the opening of new shops and restaurants. Efforts continue on the state and regional level to bring South Coast Rail to Fall River and New Bedford. Plans move forward this year on Phase 1 of the project to direct trains to and from Boston on a path through Middleborough, with expectations that service could start in 2022. During a visit to the region in April, Governor Charlie Baker outlined the importance of the rail project along with other transportation projects in Fall River.
Now, we talked a lot with folks here in this region about some of the key issues for them. And I think the folks in Fall River were actually surprised when we put the Route 79 project on the grid and started to chase it. I had a bunch of people came up to me, geez, we didn't think anybody'd ever do that. I said, why? It's like your number one priority. Well, yeah, but. I don't know, number one priority? So we put it on the grid. And on South Coast Rail, we listened to a lot of people who had a lot of different points of view, and we got really worried about the fact that the date on this thing just kept moving farther and farther back. 2030. That'd be like the 5th Polito term or something. So we said there's got to be a better way to at least create something. Which then led to the whole conversation about Phase 1 and Phase 2. And we now have the environmental approval to go ahead with Phase 1. And we're going to start spending serious money. You folks are going to start to see something that people have talked about for years.
Fall River voters join the rest of the Commonwealth in taking part in this year's state election. Voters seem to be satisfied with the status quo as the city joined the rest of the Commonwealth in re-electing Governor Charlie Baker, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and our Congressmen Joseph Kennedy and William Keating. The Fall River local legislative delegation of Senator Michael Rodrigues and Representatives Carol Fiola, Alan Sylvia, and Paul Schmid were also all easily re-elected to another two-year term. And finally, as we look back to the news in Fall River this year, 2018 saw the passing of a Fall River icon. The Reverend Robert Lawrence, longtime pastor of the First Congregational Church, passed away in October at the age of 88. If you've been to an event in Fall River over the last few decades, you've no doubt seen Reverend Lawrence. He was not easy to forget. His commanding presence made him one of the city's most recognizable figures. His contributions to his church and this community have been profound and will impact our region for decades to come. He will sorely be missed. Thank you for joining us for our look back at some of the stories that made news in Fall River in 2018. And also thank you for joining us for this program each and every week. FRC Media News airs Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. and you can follow us online at frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, enjoy the rest of your holiday week, and here's to a happy and prosperous 2019.